right, will.i.am here out of the Black Eyed Peas and all that. Whenever I'm dropping some stinky baits in the smallest room of a morning, I like to browse carandclassic.com on my phone. They've got loads of Boston cars on there, and now they do online auctions with no buyer's fees. The other day I saw this tidy MG Metro Turbo and I was going to buy it, but then I remembered I've already got one. What am I like?
Smith & Sniff is sponsored by Car and Classic.
Have you met me brother? He's called Brian.
I'm Richard Porter.
I'm Johnny Smith.
And this is Smith & Sniff, a podcast in which two friends talk about cars and many other things.
Do you remember a while ago now, I referred to Thomas the Tank Engine as a spam satchel? Do you remember that?
Yes. I seem to remember that, and you possibly called him a stroker as well.
Well,
and I think I might have alluded to the fact that he's an incompetent titwit, and yes, there was a general vibe that we thought that he shouldn't be allowed on the railways.
And then we realised that there are men controlling the train, but they're not, because the train has its own brain because it's a talking thing. So and then all of the confusion ensued with like, well, who's controlling who? This isn't man versus machine.
Yeah, it's very weird, isn't it?
There's all these battles with governments right now about the complexity of AI. Well, frig me with an alternator. Thomas the Tank Engine's been ahead of the game all this time with his deviant friends who were disobedient bastards, all of them.
Yes,
they?
Well, that's the problem. They are, aren't they?
Hey, Thomas, could you just go and get some passengers from that station there and like try not to derail anything, kill any animals, upset the really fat guy who runs the place? And it's like, yeah.
Well, that's the problem, though, isn't it? It's like, Thomas, just take these goods wagons from here to over here. You can't go wrong. It's a railway.
It's a railway, exactly.
Only go in one direction, okay? It's not Thomas the unruly lorry that is forever driving through a playground or something. This is just a railway. There to there. Go. Oh, no, you've somehow magnificently fucked this up, you blue bellend.
It really is. And it irritates me more and more as time goes on, and I don't even watch it anymore. But if I think about it, I start to steam inside, just like the boiler of a steam engine. Idiot! You're such an idiot.
Yeah.
How could you be
Ivor
so
the Engine, that's the train for me. He was a good lad, Ivor the Engine.
He just got on with it.
Quite. There's a certain bleakness to Ivor the Engine that I kind of enjoyed.
It was this sort of the sun never shining in Wales thing, and
well, I think that's the thing.
Piles of slag everywhere.
I found it quite relatable because my dad grew up in North Wales and we used to go there quite a lot in school holidays to see relatives and things. So I found Thomas the Tank Engine very relatable in terms of the sort of darkness.
Yeah.
And that kind of just very, very soft.
Yes.
North Walian sort of. Nothing much is happening.
No. Sparsely populated scenes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the best way
if the sun was shining, you'd be able to see some beautiful mountains. But it's not. So you can't. Oh, well. Would you like a slice of Barabrith?
Let's listen to some Manic Street Preachers.
Well, no. I always associate it with sort of close harmony chapel singing.
Yes.
Which not only am I familiar with from having to go to North Wales, but probably more familiar with from my dad listening to it on records, because he used to love a bit of close harmony.
Did he?
Welsh choir. Yeah. Loved it. And again, it's quite a sort of grey, slaty sound from a close harmony North Walian choir.
So I'm just pouring myself a chubby coffee, and I've realised, the pouring spouts that just aren't very good. Yeah. I've got one of them, and it's just cascaded. Shit and maitake mushroom. I've just put more coffee across the table than into the cup.
Why you're not on national radio, I'll never know. It's
well, I've often wondered. I've often wondered.
Yes. Welcome to Thought for the Day with Johnny Smith. Oh shit! I've spilt coffee everywhere.
Just
There'll be more of that
cascaded
from Johnny tomorrow.
Incompetent coffee pouring. Well, I used to work at, as I've said before, when I was saving up for my car when I was 16. I used to work at a kind of a cafeteria, coffee shop place at a supermarket, and all those little tin, not tin, but stainless steel little teapots. I washed hundreds of them up a day, and I realised that the design of them is shit because none of them pour properly. Which is why every time I cleared a table from a customer, there was about 80 paper towels soaked in brown tea because they just poured tea all over their lap and the table and a bit into the cup. And no one ever went, do you know what, these designs are unacceptable. Whereas if it had been another country, like Germany or Scandinavia, they would have, within a day of the design being released, it would have been, these are unacceptable. It has to change now.
Yeah. This is the problem, isn't it? I think it's often said that in some countries, Italy or Spain, for example, they really look after and respect their elderly in a way that we simply don't.
True.
And this is yet another example. We let our old people go to a lovely cafe inside the department store or big shop. And then they're going to leave with damp elbows, where they inadvertently put them in spilt tea, to go to the loo where a Dyson dryer has blown water all over the floor and they're going to slip over the
I used a Dyson yesterday at Warwick Services. I'm going to call them out. Warwick Services. Okay? Right, I went in there. There was a raft of brand new ones. You know, the ones that look like a pair of aeroplane wings or handlebars from a
Oh, right, what, the sort of futuristic moped front one?
Futuristic, that's exactly what it is. Next in session. And the... And I went for it, put the hands underneath the futuristic moped handlebars, but they blew all the water off the palms onto the trousers, and I was wearing light-coloured chinos, so obviously I then leave the services looking that I've had a load of sort of pissy ricochet on my own trousers. But you have to feel like you want to tell the world that that's not piss. It's definitely clean water off my own hands, and I was just wearing the wrong trousers for the situation.
Well, now, I was in motorway services, but I was doing that little trick where you go to the petrol station and then you don't have to walk 20 miles to go to the loo.
Clever.
Like you do in the main services. Many places just go straight around to the petrol station. There's always a loo in there. However, it's often in quite a poor state. Very small.
I was just about to say,
so
it gets twice
you take
the
your chances. Yeah, sometimes it's all right, but sometimes no. Well, this one... fine, and it wasn't just a cubicle, like one cubicle, it was a whole loo, but it was very, very narrow. So there's two urinals on one wall, the dryers are on the facing wall, but it's a very narrow room. And the sink's just near the door. When I wash my hands, look around, the dryer over there, it's behind a man who is using one of the urinals. I didn't want to stand, there wasn't really room to stand back to back. It would have been extremely awkward given that he was urinating. So I had to sort of stand slightly offset and lean my hands in to the Dyson dryer, which then blew hand water all over the back of his trousers.
No, while he was hosing down the porcelain.
Just a light mist, but there was. I was like, oh my god! And thankfully, he wasn't wearing like light chinos. He just had jeans on. But I was like, there's definitely water going onto his trousers, not mine, because I'm offset standing.
I wasn't wearing white linen holiday trousers.
Yeah,
or anything.
Yeah, he didn't walk in and go, "Good morning, I'm on my way to a job interview in my white linen suit. I hope nothing befalls me in this lavatory." And then no, that was a new way in which the Dyson can spray water onto somebody else's clothes. Were your chinos? Is this part of now the sun's come out?
Yeah,
I noticed because in that picture you sent me the other day, you've kind of gone Key West casual.
I was going to come on to that. I've gone for, someone said khaki magnum, which I thought was...
Khaki as in the way Americans say khaki?
No, actually, khaki as in shitty magnum.
Oh, right.
So I thought,
cruel.
Do I have a moustache? Well, I have a beard that incorporates a tache. I don't have a Ferrari. I was driving the Dodge, which is, I guess, a hillbilly Ferrari. No, not really. And I was driving around Rutland, not Key West.
Just going to take the NASCAR Ferrari for a ride.
So yeah, I have to say, this last 2 weeks, I've fulfilled a long time itch to get back into the Hawaiian shirt game. I've been out of it a while, and I keep threatening to go back in. And I think recent exposure to Gordon Murray has made me go. has made me go. I've thought I'm going to go. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be like a real B side, C side, D side Murray.
D-side.
Quayside, Murray. I can figure.
We're going to do the whole alphabet now.
Yeah,
Quayside, Reese. Anyway,
so I'm going to be a talentless version of Gordon Murray with probably less exotic Hawaiian shirts. But I'm really enjoying it, Rich. I am really enjoying it.
Do you find people behave differently towards you when you're rocking a Hawaiian shirt?
They do. People are warmer to me. I think they think that I'm maybe a little bit more flamboyant.
So sort of like wearing a bow tie, perhaps.
Yeah.
I worry about bow ties because it very much depends on the person wearing it. I mean, obviously, if it's a clown, well, that's just...
well, we've been down that road, haven't we?
Yeah, they're probably about to get into the rascal and then topple over. Call someone effing C. But
don't you say that? Honestly, still one of the funniest letters we've ever had.
By far. But the... I don't know, the bow tie on some people, you just kind of go, you're being self-consciously wacky again.
Yes.
For example, the children's television character Blippi, if you've ever seen him.
No, is he a stroker?
I mean, his stuff is good, and my kids have both in their time really enjoyed his output. Although there's something weird happened. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's an American guy, and he sort of came to prominence on YouTube and then got a series on, I think, Netflix or Amazon. And he has a look. He wears a bow tie. I think it's orange bow tie, blue shirt with orange braces. Then he has a sort of kind of like a Peaky Blinders hat, but it's blue and orange, so makes him look like a sort of simpleton. And then he has big orange framed glasses as well.
I've not seen this guy.
So he's good. He's got a strong look. It means that, he's sort of, everything is colour coded and then all his graphics and things match that. But then the original Blippi clearly decided that he'd had enough larking about in ball pools and all the other things that Blippi does. And so he's got someone else in to play himself.
What?
It's another guy. Now, my daughter was still watching Blippi when this happened. I don't think she noticed. And my wife and I were like, that's not the original Blippi. It's like, when a character in, like, you remember the Darlene in Roseanne? It wasn't Darlene, was it? It was the other one, Becky in Roseanne, got replaced by a different actor.
Yes.
And they actually made a joke out of it. But it felt like that. But it's not acting. It's a guy playing a character, but it's not like somebody inside a suit. He is just wearing kind of specific clothes.
I didn't know that.
It slightly weirded me out.
Could we replace one another? Could you just get fed up doing this podcast one day and just have another person that sounds like you?
Get another person. Yeah, but I think someone with a really thick Glaswegian accent, so there's no pretense that it's me. But they will pretend to be me.
We're called Richard. Yeah.
Just going, no, I was out in my panda the other day, and just going, are you sure that's you, Richard? That guy at the Bristol show last week who came in the Saab Cabrio,
yes,
and who said that as we were crossing the street in front of his car, what did he say? He said something. I thought, there's a bloke who looks like Richard Porter, and there's actual Johnny Smith. And it's only afterwards I thought, does he think that you hang around with other men who look like me when I'm not available?
I do. That's what I do.
I suppose you do.
That's what I do. Yeah, I've got a whole list of them. Some of them are famous and they look a bit like you. Some of them are not so famous. But yeah,
we used to have this thing. My schoolmates and I used to have this thing where if there was ever a kid at our school who looked like, say, somebody in our year. So, there was a kid called Dave in our year, but then 2 years below, there was a younger kid who wasn't his brother, but looked very like Dave. We used to call him, Stunt Dave. The idea being, if he was required to do some stunts, he could get Stunt Dave in to do the heavy lifting so he didn't get injured. And I've always quite liked that idea. So you have, Stunt Richards that you hang around with if I'm not free.
Oh, two things that have just sprung into my small head. One, you don't need to suffer the danger of the Dyson useless hand dryer because the season of prime piss vistas is upon us. This week only, I've enjoyed so many epic piss vista piss stops whilst driving. I found a new favourite driving road near me, which I won't reveal. It's just wonderful, really sweeping curves. It's like a Rutland Nürburgring. But also, I realised loads of lay-bys for Wazzes. And because it's everything's in bloom, the hedges are thicker. There's a little bit more privacy, so you don't feel the pressure to kind of squeeze it out fast and then crack on. So you can really savour the moment. I'm saying this, if there's any female listeners, you're probably just going, that this doesn't happen for us. I'm sorry it doesn't. But you know what? As females, you benefit in so many other ways in life. But we won't go down that road now.
You use it generally, I would suggest, probably in a better state. Certainly less unspecified liquid on the floor that's probably speaking of that and everything coming into bloom, and we're just at that perfect time of year, aren't we, where the plants have been nourished by rainfall recently, but now the sun has really brought them out. And I went up to a field that I go through sometimes when I'm out walking the dog and stuff, and suddenly all the crops have come in. And it's just, I sort of came up a brow and then saw it, and it's just majestic.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's such a beautiful sight.
Did you stop to rinse your kidneys, or were you not able to?
I didn't need to. The dog probably did, but everywhere's a piss vista for a dog, isn't it?
Yes,
including shopping precincts.
Yes, right next to groups of people. Yeah, we don't do that. It's not how we roll.
Anyway, look, could I invite you to wander over to Film Review Corner? Because
please,
the other day I went to see Fast X or Fast 10. Whatever it's called.
Oh, did you?
The latest Fast and Furious movie. Yes. I have a bit of a weakness for those films.
It's amazing, because I haven't seen, I don't think, the last three, at least.
Well, because I did that. We talked about this on a Smith and Shift
You had
video
a binge marathon.
Yeah, I was urged to binge. At that time, there was 8 of them. And I was urged to binge all 8 in one day to write a feature for the Road Rat. And I did, and having never seen, the premise was I've never seen one of these films, I'll just play catch-up by watching all of them in one day.
That's amazing.
And, obviously, in a way, that sounds like the way they'd sort of synthesise brain damage in a laboratory, but actually I really enjoyed them. I became sort of quite...
You're in.
I don't know. I just like the characters.
Now.
I mean, obviously, they're familiar, as they keep saying in the new film, but there's a... They say familiar, and then there's a bit where Vin Diesel's character, one of the other characters, they say to sort of Los Bandidos or something like that, but the other character goes to Los Bandidos, and Vin Diesel goes to Lo Bandidos, and deliberately pronounces it differently, almost like a flex, just to go, I speak better Spanish than you do.
Oh,
it's really odd little moment. But anyway, yeah, I watched all 8.
Does Vin Diesel just, because he's starting to look like a guy who works locally as a grounds worker to me. to me, because I don't know, the muscle vest has gone a little bit slacker. His head's sort of gone a bit more blancmangy, and he looks like he does groundworks. He's going to turn up, jump straight into the Caterpillar tracks, and dig a new sewage system for a Grand Design's house.
Yeah,
while sculling some drink of some sort and swearing a bit. He probably puts one of those DeWalt radios on. The ones that look like you could kick them downstairs and they'll still be okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he'd be listening to. Probably some aggressive Mexican rap music.
Yes, yeah. He's probably it's somewhere quite far down the digital radio dial. He's got something slightly, but quite punchy.
Oh,
it's not relaxing music. He's not got classic FM on.
No, and he has to have it quite high because he's in a earth mover, and so he can't hear it otherwise. So when he shuts the engine down, which happens every 20 minutes, so he can down an energy drink, you realise how loud it is, and the neighbours start to
His voice is getting better and better, though, in terms of... It sounds like... I was trying to think what it sounds like. It's sort of... It's like someone pouring hot whiskey down a velvet trouser leg. It's just... It's really... I can't... His voice is so rich these days. It's really good. Very pleasant to listen to.
Full-bodied voice.
I'd love to listen to him just doing voiceover for completely unrelated things, because he sounds so good. But this is by the by. Anyway, I like the Fast and Furious films. I know they're stupid, but I like them all the same. And I like the characters, even though they're quite one-dimensional. And so I went and saw the 9th one whenever it came out. I think I talked about it on here with me, and then the only other people in the cinema were some nice old ladies because it was like a weekday morning. So this one, I went and saw it last week, and I thought I was going to go to like the big Odeon View, whatever is nearest to here. But I decided to trip myself and go to the sort of artier, nicer cinema, just because I thought they've got big sofas.
I love the fact that you do solo cinema attending.
I never used to.
No.
I never used to.
I've never done it.
Just before. My wife used to do it all the time. She had a bit of time to kill in the week. You know, she wasn't working or something. She would just go to the cinema. And I always went, what kind of loser goes to the cinema on their own? That's part of the cinema thing is that, you know, you get to see the film with someone and you can discuss it afterwards and blah, blah, blah. She went, yeah, but during the film, you're not talking, are you? It doesn't matter. It's nice to go on your own. You don't have to worry about anyone else nicking your wine gums. And so
it's really true.
I did it for the first time in my life just before COVID kicked in. And I loved it. Weekday morning, went to a nice little cinema near where I used to live, and I was like, oh, this is a new thing. I'm going to do this more often. Enjoy being self-employed and having the flexibility to do it. And then COVID started, and that put an end to that. But
you're coming back on cam now, though, aren't you?
I'm back on now. And so, yeah, I went to sort of lunchtime screening, and the number of people in the cinema, apart from me, was 0.
No.
I had the whole cinema, only quite a little cinema.
So hang on, you watched Fast X on your own?
Yes.
Wow. That's amazing.
It was great.
Was it? I bet it was amazing.
Well, it's one of those posh cinemas. So they brought me a cup of coffee before the film started, and I bought myself a little bag of sweets, and I could eat the sweets rustling the wrapper without worrying about pissing off anyone else.
Of course. You got no kids being
idiots. I think
idiots.
at one point I shouted, for fuck's sake, and there was no one else to hear me. It was great.
You should promote this, not to the point where the cinemas all fill up during the day.
Yeah,
but obviously, what we don't want cinemas to close from lack of custom, do we?
Yeah.
So let's do more daytime viewing.
If you live in Bath or Bath, don't go to the cinema in the daytime. They're full of ants. Don't bother. But anywhere else, you're fine. I'm
going to wear my Vin Diesel bald cap. Actually, I don't need to. I just need to bick my head.
You need to wear the groundskeeper's vest.
I'll wear the groundskeeper's vest, and I'll have to do quite a few press-ups or something beforehand. And I don't know what I'll turn up in. Oh, I know. I'll turn up in my Charger, but I'll make like a tin foil supercharger for the bonnet. Shoeboxes and bog rolls, and people just look at it and they go, that's so not real. What are you thinking?
Yeah, and it's now it's on fire. It's caught fire because the engine's gone.
And every time I get out of the car, I get out a little bit slowly, and on my phone, so very tinnily, it plays "We've Come a Long Way." My friend, is that Charlie Puth's song, the Paul Walker Memorial song? But we play it really slowly. I get out the car and I look back, because he does a lot of look backs.
There's a lot of look backs. He does just a lot of looking. He's a good look. He's a look actor.
He's a look actor. Well, because probably he's not a dialogue guy. In fact, it's funny. I've written down in my notes about looking back a lot, because I was thinking, the other day the Waylon Jennings Dukes of Hazzard theme tune came on when I was watching something on Instagram. Okay. And I haven't heard it in ages, and we all know it's a really good tune. And it made me realise that Bo from Bo and Luke, because he was the driver, wasn't he? He drove most of the time, I reckon. I think.
Bo's the dark-haired one.
No, Bo's the light-haired one.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yes, okay. So
he's the one with basically women's hair, as we used to say. I realised at an early age, if you wanted to get girls, you needed girls' hair. And it was like, I'm not going to have girls' hair. Okay, you're going to fail then. So Bo used to do most of the driving from memory. I'll keep this quick so we don't deviate too much. And he never used to really use the rear view mirror. He did a lot of looking backwards whilst driving.
Oh, yes.
Didn't he? Why did he do that? Because I think they had a rear view mirror. So he was a rear view mirror avoider.
But did they? Did they, though? Did they take it off? Because it was really a racing car, wasn't it?
Yeah, but you need a rear view mirror in a racing car.
That's a fair point, but they don't often have... Or do? Well, hang on, they do, don't they? If it's a saloon car-based kind of thing, then they... You've
got to have a rear view mirror. You've got to have a rear view mirror.
But you're right. He did do a lot of looking back. He did lots of
looking back. Why the physical looking back when you could just glance in the mirror? So he used to do it, and he always used to have a smile on his face. Or maybe they were chewing gum. I don't remember. Maybe I made that last bit up. But it got me thinking, because while I was driving my Dodge a lot this week with my rubbish Magnum shirt choice / Gordon Murray, I tried to do more looking back than normal. Just to see if it felt right.
Why? And did it?
No, do you know what it did? It made me realise that big old American cars on narrow British roads, there's not room for much error when you're looking back a lot. You tend to weave a little bit and go towards the gully. So I quickly realised this was a terrible idea, and maybe Georgia back roads, very wide, they're forgiving.
But I feel that even just a brief glance backwards in a sort of normal-sized car is fraught with peril. My main experience of this is when one of the children in the back seat goes, "Daddy, I've just dropped," and it's usually, like an ice cream.
A poo down my trouser leg.
Ice cream. Yeah, but there's usually, "Daddy, I've just spilt it." Spilt what? You haven't got, and you have to do that glance back.
Oh, that's horrible when they do that. Daddy, you know that bottle of milk that you left on the back? Yeah.
Yes.
Guess what? Yeah. Guess what thingy's done? Yeah, they've just knocked a pin into it, and it's now just firing milk across the car. What?
Yeah. Well, I feel like one day my children as adults will be talking to their therapist, and they'll say, "I think this all began with my dad's aggression about milkshakes in the car."
Oh, well, you've got every right to be phobic.
Well, we were on a road trip somewhere, and we were letting the kids get a burger or something from a service area, and then they went, "Can we have milkshakes?" And my wife went, "Yeah, what do you want, chocolate or vanilla?" And I went, "We are not having milkshakes in the car!" Slightly too much.
I like
and ever
that.
Since then, it's been like a thing.
You can't, can you? No, you've made a stand, and
my children are small enough that they're clumsy. They're just of an age where they're just not so dexterous with things, or so worried about when things spill because it becomes not their problem.
It's not their problem, exactly. But you've just identified a key solution. So what we're saying is when Bo Duke was driving, he had something on the back seat. Like, I reckon they'd ordered a curry and they hadn't put the tops on the curries properly. And so half of him was like, "We're going to do loads of jumps. We're going to do loads of skidding around the trees. But I know that there's a madras was swilling around with an open top container behind me. So I'm just
some good old boys eating some fowl."
Yes, exactly that. Or Luke forgot to tell Bo that he's ordered a milkshake, but again, the top doesn't quite fit on the container, and it's perilous.
Is it possible the Dukes of Hazzard were in fact just milkmen?
They were Deliveroo's.
They were
70s. There were 70s Deliveroo's.
Uber Eats, and I wish we had the Dukes of Hazzard delivering that curry we ordered last week that didn't turn up till 10:30 at night.
I can't remember the last time. I haven't done a 10:45 booner for a very, very long time.
It's a miracle we survived. And then we went for a run the next morning. Anyway,
I was bubbling.
We mentioned this, didn't we? So yes, anyway, Fast 10, whatever you want to Fast X, is stupid. Of course it is. It's a Fast and Furious movie. I enjoyed it, but I don't think it's the best of the family of films.
Family.
It's not as good as the last one. It's a little bit too kind of set piece to set piece. It's just big car stunt. Out of the cars. Oh, look, they're all punching each other. Now they're back in the cars. They're doing something else. Oh, God, they've moved continent now. And somehow they've brought the cars with them. Okay, now they're driving the cars. Now they're punching. Now they're driving the cars again.
It sounds like the Gumball 3000.
Yeah. Yes. It's just based it on that.
So we're going to start in Glasgow, and then I'm going to click my fingers. We're all in Dubai. And then we're going to have...
Okay,
we're going to go to a club.
In Auckland somehow. Yeah. It's a bit like that. It just jumps. It jumps about. Obviously, that's one of the things I think is appealing about the film. Same as James Bond, they have this sort of globe straddling feel to them.
And the logistics are never quite mentioned, are they? Like, well, hang on.
The logistics are not mentioned, and trust me, it played on my mind that there's a lot of logistics that just seem to go completely, to the extent that they go to Rome, and it seems like they're planning the Rome thing. And okay, so they've put a bit of planning in, but the planning seems to centre around knobbing around with the radio-controlled car, and then suddenly they're in Rome, and they've got these bespoke full-size cars, including a lovely Alfa 2000 GT, 60s one.
Oh,
which but is all sprayed up in bespoke colours, and a gold-wrapped Gallardo, weirdly.
See,
these things take some arranging.
Oh, seriously, they do.
Do you know the Italian for "Can you wrap this Gallardo in gold"? Because I don't, and I don't imagine that any of the characters in Fast and Furious 10 do either. But it's full of stuff like that.
I'd like Vin Diesel to be like Google translating that shit hurriedly. Going, look, we don't have a great deal of time. Can you do this in the next 8 hours, 10 hours at a push?
Because I don't think he'd be one of those people who just, when he can't speak a language, just speaks English more loudly, because he doesn't really speak loudly. It's got to be that kind of mumble, that kind of low, velvety.
But then, because of the pace of Fast and Furious being the nature of the name of the film, they'll get to Italy and they'll realise that it's Sunday. And nobody does anything. Even if you were to throw more money than they've ever seen at them, they'll go, no, because we don't do anything on Sunday. They go, but I need a car vinyl wrapping pronto.
No, sorry, you can't. No. And then actually tomorrow's a Saint's Day, so we're closed.
Yeah,
it's the other thing that's odd about the film is that it just abruptly ends.
Really?
Because there's no secret that they said we're going to split part 10 into 2, because there's too much story. We go, okay. In fact, no, I think they're saying there might be 2 more after this. So there's definitely going to be at least 1 more bit. So it just ends very abruptly on a cliffhanger, like a TV show, which I see why they do it, but it's a bit naughty.
It seems a bit cheap in a film, doesn't it, to end it like that?
It does. Well, also because, unlike a TV show where you could probably stream the next episode immediately, or you have to wait a week until it's released.
Yes.
This is a movie. We're going to have to wait, a year, 2 years now to find out what's going on, at which point you'll have kind of forgotten a lot of details. So I think it's a bit naughty. But anyway, that's what they've done. But I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed a cinema day on your own?
I enjoyed a cinema day on my own. That was part of what I enjoyed. It was just lovely. But I enjoyed the film, but it is incredibly stupid and a bit sort of disjointed in its way. It just leaps from scene to scene, and as usual, the dialogue is drivel. But
I have to say, one thing that we all know Fast and Furious has been good at is propagating the interest in different cars for a younger audience. So if there's an Alpha 2000 GT in there, probably there's a number of 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 20 years old who don't have any idea what that car is, and they might go, oh, that's a bit cool, and suddenly their automotive horizons have been broadened and all that. 2 relatively ordinary saloon cars that don't do well out of this film are the Alfa 159 and the BMW E34 5 Series. Bizarrely, really, they get hurt.
During the Rome sequence, there's a lot of shenanigans on the streets of Rome, and a lot of 159 police cars get duffed up.
Oh gosh, that's a shame.
As a side note, Italian police cars look great, don't they? Their livery is always absolutely on point.
The sky blue is gorgeous. I love that sky blue.
These are Carabinieri, so they're dark blue, I think. They do that thing where they sort of embrace the deep V of an Alfa Romeo bonnet and put red stripes that go up diagonally up the bonnet to sort of match the pressing. It's really cool. But a lot of those get smushed by things, and then there's a scene where, again, this is where you go, the logistics of this seem improbable. The bad guy, who, by the way, is played by Jason Mimosa, the sparkling orange and champagne drink off of Game of Thrones. And
Jason Samosa, I know the guy.
Yeah.
Is he the guy? He still does.
He's really good.
He's very good at the late 90s, early 2000s shaved eyebrow, isn't he?
It's not a shaved eyebrow. He had an accident.
Did he?
I think he was glassed or something. Yeah, that's same as Katie Puckrick, the presenter.
Yes,
she has a slash through her eyebrow. Which in the 90s, everyone thought was a fashion thing, but it's not. It's I think she had an accident, and it's
scar tissue.
Stuck with it. Yeah. Same is true of Jason Samosa. He's really good.
Is he?
He plays a very good over the top baddie.
Oh.
It's like you look at it and you go, he's having fun here, isn't he? He's just gone, fuck it, I'm being paid a load of money to be in this very daft film. I'm just going to run with it. So, he plays him in a very, sometimes a very intense, scary way, but often in a very sort of giddy, slightly camp way. It's really good.
That sounds cool.
He's very watchable. You're kind of hoping that he reappears in every scene just because he's so good in it. But... he he's hired all these mercenaries and ne'er-do-wells to go after Vin Diesel's gang, and clearly they're very well organised, because they're able, with seemingly not much notice, to suddenly pull together this fleet of matching matte black 5 Series and Mini Countrymans.
What?
In Portugal.
Oh, so immediately your head is spinning. Hang on, these would be tax avoidance 5 Series, so they're all 518s.
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? Yeah, I can't remember what it's like in Portugal, but I think is it like sort of Italy used to be, where your engine capacity over 2 litres gets hammered. So
yeah, so they're all 518s, which means, it doesn't matter what gear you're in, you're going nowhere.
Yeah,
pretty much. So in other words, Vin Diesel is just rinsing it in second, and he's on the walkie-talkie to everybody else, going, "Leave it in second. Just leave it in second. There's lots of hills. There's lots of hills. Just ring it out in second, mate. Leave it."
That awful thing where you get halfway round a hairpin and have to actually bang it down into first because it's not going to make it.
That's really embarrassing, isn't it?
It's just terrible.
I've got a car which you have to do that in.
So yes. Anyway, but so 5 Series, old 5 Series. I'm amazed they found so many, and why they went for that car, I don't know. But yeah, there's a load of them, and then obviously they all get into scrapes, because that's what happens in Fast Universe. But yeah, so don't, if you're an E34 enthusiast or you love a 159, don't watch this film, because it's carnage.
It's harming.
But there we are. Anyway, I mean, the thing is, if you don't like Fast and Furious films, don't go and see this one. It's more of the same. You'll find it idiotic. If you do like them, go and see it, because it's more of the same and it's idiotic.
Well, I've just remembered why I started this podcast by talking about Thomas the Tank Engine. It's because we've had an amazing listener letter revolving around small railways. But before I tell you that, I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger there. Before I tell you that, I've just remembered I went to I had to do a charity bike ride with my son's school last week, and around a big lake, big reservoir, really scenic. Weather was epic, and when
was this Rutland Water?
It was, yeah.
Ooh,
and do you remember? Old people they go to a scenic spot or a seaside town, and then they set up a little camp, don't they, to have tea or biscuits, 11sies, whatever you want to call it, and then they go. Well, this troubled me. Amazing day, really good scene. So the car parks for this place most of them overlook the water, but there's an overspill car park which doesn't have any view of anything apart from generic trees. Okay. You can see where I'm going with this, can't you? And generic hedge, okay? So although it was a beautiful day, you've gone to the effort of going to Rutland Water. You're paying a lot of money to park your car there. I will say, unfortunately, I think it's too expensive, okay? This old guy had parked...
I hope this makes the local paper.
I hope this makes
local star Johnny Smith speaks out about parking charges at Rutland Water.
I'm calling out Anglian Water. You're overpricing the car park. Sort it out. There was an old guy who'd parked his immaculate car in the overspill car park. There was nobody there. He'd gone to the trouble of getting a couple of chairs out and like a table with some nibbles on it, looked like, and a drink. I didn't stop and look. I sort of drove past slowly. And he was facing just the generic hedge and trees. But yet you've gone to the effort of going to a really scenic waterside spot, but you've set up your entire camp nowhere near it, and you can't see it. And I just couldn't understand what the deal was here.
I hate water. Can't stand
it, but I will go through the water.
Twinkling in the sunshine. Bloody awful. But maybe he's got rabies. Can't be near water.
Yeah, or if anybody has ever experienced this, so people will go to a known scenic spot, but where they actually pitch their camp, as it were, doesn't have any form of view of it. You could just be in your back garden facing a wooden fence, and it'd just be the same. So anyway, I thought I had to just share that. But I've got this letter. I say it's us. Hello@smithandsniff.com. Lewis Cracknell, he's allowed me to call him his name. Hi, gents. Been listening to your podcast from the beginning after a friend's recommendation, and I'm now up to February 2021 so far. Okay, so he's a while back. But that's okay. It's okay, Lewis. There's plenty of absolute toss to catch up on. In this,
we could be really rude to Lewis and call him an absolute flute, and then close down the podcast. He wouldn't find us for a year or so.
Well, he's put, in the episode I'm a Hustler Baby, you were discussing miniature railways and asked if anyone had a story of sustaining an injury at the hands of a small train. Well, I imagine you weren't inundated with responses to that one. However, I feel this is my calling. A friend of mine has a 7.25-inch garden railway. By the way, that's the gauge of the rails, if anyone's listening, not the actual size of the whole railway. 7.25 inch.
That'd be quite disappointing.
That's like, yeah.
Off they go. Oh, stop.
You trip over it in the garden because you never see it where it is. So 7.25-inch garden railway, which I frequent. I love that. I love using that word. It's great. I was trying to set, this is the bit now that troubles me. I was trying to set a new speed record around the railway, which went as well as you'd probably imagine. I took one of the locomotives up to a heady 12 miles an hour, which is actually very fast on something that size, around the loop. And as I rounded out aptly named Derailment Tree, the whole ensemble started to tip over. As it went over, it hit the ground and it dug in, coming to a very sudden halt. I didn't know. I shot out of the top of the cab. Oh, it's a ride-on train, so he's riding on it. Okay.
Well, yeah, I assumed so.
Yeah.
I'd kind of leapt ahead to that. And this is going to be one of those ones with the wooden planks.
Yes, that's right. Leg planks, I would have thought. Yeah. You're straddling the loco down in Acapulco. I shot out of the top of the cab and prescribed an ungraceful arc through the air straight into a particularly stout oak tree, which I then glanced off the side of with my head, leaving a considerable loss of skin, half knocking myself out in the process. When I went back to the office the next day, nobody believed me when I told them that my injury had been caused by being involved in a train crash. I love the fact that you miss out the model train crash.
Yeah. How big was this train crash? In what sense?
Yeah, he's put, by the way, the tree was unharmed, probably not podcast-worthy material, but I felt compelled that I should share this story with you. Thank you for the entertainment, Lewis. Lewis, that was definitely podcast-worthy. No one's ever high-sided or shared their story of a high-sided garden train incident on Smith and Still before. That was a good one.
But those trains, if it's the type I'm thinking of, I always look at them and think, oh, that would be horrible if they went over, because if they went over just sideways, they look really heavy to me.
Yeah.
You know, they look dense. They look sort of disproportionately heavy for their size. And I always think, if that is on one of your legs, that's going to be a problem. Like
falling over at like a junction with a motorbike. So the motorbikes are heavy, obviously. Yeah. But it's when they fall down when they're almost stationary, and they're an absolute bastard to lift up on their own. I mean, some bikes you can't lift up on your own. You have to get the help of friends. So, yeah, I bet they are very dense because they have to have a lot of weight to them in order to hunker down on the track, don't they, and ride smoothly. We need more information, Lewis. I want to know if this was steam, electric. I want to know the weight, if possible. And can we have a photo of this garden layout? That's just for my personal consumption, because I am so down with garden layouts. I've got a little bit of jealousy on the go there, because I would like, I aspire to this, don't you, Richard? I've told you this many a time.
What, a garden railway?
Garden railway. It just walks hand in hand with a really good quality model village, which we
but the scales are different, right? So what are you then? Are you some kind of local giant?
I'm Gulliver,
who thunders through town in his oversized train. Quite scary for the model people.
Yeah, you'd either have to have a ride-on exceptionally small train, which I think would be even more dangerous, or you'd have to scale up the model village. It's not quite as bijou as others. I don't know if there's a universally accepted scale of model village, actually. God, that's a bit...
I bet someone knows.
Someone will know. This. Someone will know.
Yeah.
So...
speaking of listeners' messages, I just saw this the other day. Tom Gidman is one of our patrons. said,
Hi, Tom.
He's watching season 1 of Miami Vice, brackets, thanks, Johnny. He says, in episode 9, they pull into E Choke de Bloke. I don't know what he's saying there. They pull into E Choke de Bloke in the middle of the Everglades. Don't know what that is. That a place?
You just sound like
Anyway,
a Dutch guy
somewhere.
trying to say a different word.
E Choke de Bloke. No, it's pronounced exceptional. In the Everglades, into the bait and tackle shop car park in the Daytona, Ferrari, Photona, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
In this very isolated car park, there's not one, not two, but 3 DeLoreans. That might be the greatest concentration of Citroen V6s ever seen in Florida. Well, technically Volvo V6, but yes, shared. Do you remember
I do
this?
remember it. I know the Everglades. It's because there was going to be a drug delivery of one of those planes which floats, and it landed at the edge of the Everglades, and then they rendezvoused with one of those fan boats. And actually, Tubbs and Crockett were on a fan boat with a massive searchlight. And again, I've noticed Crockett always has a pistol, and Tubbs just always goes for the shotgun. Even when you're trying to do sort of more long-range, detailed work, he'll always just go for the shotgun, which I do think is quite cool, because he just usually has it over one shoulder, but he's wearing a really sharp suit, and I like that juxtaposition of, like, dirty old shotgun over the shoulder of a designer suit. So I do remember that.
Is it like finding a bowling ball that works for you?
It's exactly that.
You know, when you go bowling and you just find the ball that feels right, and that's it. Yeah, it's probably not the right weight or size for me, but somehow it just feels right. I'm going to stick with it, even if it's inappropriate for this situation.
Oh, I'm absolutely with you on that. I've done 3 sets of bowling in the last 6 months, which is much more frequent than usual. Yeah, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm terrible at it, but I found a ball on one of them.
Yes.
It took me half a game to find a ball that I gelled with.
Yeah. It's the bond, isn't it? This just somehow is correct.
It's so true. And once that happened, I was searching because there was another guy who kept occasionally borrowing it in the other lane. And I got a bit ball possessive.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough, as is your right. I hadn't been bowling for ages, and I went over Christmas, and I remembered that I'm terrible at bowling. And in fact, I think in one game, my daughter beat me. She's 5.
No.
And she was using the little rampy thing.
And she beat you?
Yeah. she was actually really good.
Well, there's
got a good eye
there's
for it.
I think there's almost, because I love watching, I have gone down a YouTube wormhole with pro bowling, where they hold the ball, they don't put the fingers in the holes, they hold the ball by the top and the bottom, sort of in your forearms, and they do this mad spin throw. Have you not seen this? It's like it's like D1 Drift Series for 10-pin bowling. So you have to you put such a vicious spin on it. It either bananas down the alleyway, or it goes down the edge of the gutter on full spin don't wheel spin, and then at the last minute curls in and gets a strike. It's really, really addictive to watch. It's the drifting of the 10-pin bowling world. I'm sure there'll be a name for it. But the guys that do it, they just look like the sort of guys that might work in IT during the week. But it's so addictive to watch. The spins they get on it, it's just like a perfect drift. Watching a perfect pro drift series, you just go, oh yeah, they're on it. They're picking all the right lines. There's so much tyre smoke. It's brilliant. It's just like that. I highly recommend it. If I can find a worthy clip, I'll share it with our Patreons and all that.
Now, I've made a note of something that I think we've sort of sailed past it, as we often do. But this month, and specifically, I think a couple of weeks ago, was the 50th birthday of the Austin Allegro. Yeah,
I know. I feel a little bit ashamed that I didn't flag this up on social media. And my car, I'm trying to get my car finished before the end of this year, because it was the actual day or week of release, wasn't it? Not that long ago.
I think it was the 17th of May. Yeah, was officially announced.
Was the aggro, and there's been what's really cool about it is that you're seeing Allegros worth money now, rather than just kind of being weighed in.
Well, yes, it's come back around, I suppose, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's a real ironic kind of appreciation for them, and there are I'm starting to get people who actually, collect much more exotic cars, fancying an Allegro as part of their garage. So I kind of like all that. It's
holy shitting Christmas.
What?
I went on Car and Classics. I thought I'll have a little look at Allegro, see where they're at to, and I was thinking,
danger.
Well, there's only one come up.
Is there?
But it's an Equipe.
Oh, shiitake mushrooms,
Johnny. And it looks fucking brilliant. It's got the stripes. It's got the slightly jazzier interior with the check seats, the 2-spoke wheel, which I think was off the Innocenti.
That's right. It's got the porous alloys.
Porous alloys, which I assume people have sorted this out now somehow, have they?
You can.
The Allegro community has fixed them.
You can do that. You can seal them and have them redone.
This ad comes out swinging. It starts, brilliant Allegro Equipe.
Oh.
Set your stall out. Go on, sales pitch it straight from the off.
If you think it's
the
good.
Super rare sporting version with twin carb engine, and lighter 2-door body. This pampered vehicle has been cosmetically and mechanically restored over the last 10 years and is in near concours condition. The engine, gearbox, running gear and suspension have all been rebuilt professionally, and an updated cylinder head gives improved performance and economy. Bodywork has been fully restored and resprayed by the acclaimed Haynes Motor Museum.
Wow.
Even the seat fabric has been renewed as original. A charming, characterful, fun and rare example of this sought-after model in super condition.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my hail.
I want to see this car now. I'm going to have a look.
Oh, my saints. Well, I'll put a link for our patrons up if the ad. I mean, I imagine it will go quite quickly. The price is quite
punchy. Is it punchy?
Have a guess.
Well, if it's sort of the best Equipe, I mean, there's not that many Equipes left in the world.
No,
I think there's something like a dozen left. So
really,
there's not many. No, there's.
Oh God, I didn't realise there was that few.
And
shall I have a little look on?
Yeah, you could do just to disprove me. But
Well, no. I mean, I'm not. It's just because I'd love to know, because then in which case this may actually not be punchy price. This may be quite reasonable.
Well, I'm
shit. I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't. And there's not many. So if you were like, I want the best Allegro Equipe in the world, and in the world there's only a dozen of them, and to restore a car these days, you've got to look at. People often go, bloody hell, why would you pay that? Well, you go, well, a half decent paint job, like a really good paint job on any medium-sized car is probably 10 grand. So it might even be more than that for a really good one. So you have to factor that stuff in. I reckon this is up for sale for 17.
Johnny, this car is a bargain. It's 9,995.
That's actually cheap. Can I see the ad straight after we finish recording this?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's only got 65,000 miles on it as well. And do you know where it is?
No. Don't say Somerset.
It's in Somerset.
Is it really?
It's in Somerset.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Oh, no. Is it a local car for local people?
I don't know where it's... So the reg is... The first three letters of the reg, it's a V reg. The first three letters are GTO, which is quite good in itself.
Sweet.
But where would TO be from?
I don't
look this up
don't
now.
know where
People are shouting at their podcast players, but it's...
not another Allegro in Somerset. I've already got one. Do you know what? That,
oh my gosh.
10 grand, I know there'll be listeners listening going, you're smoking on, you're heaving on the crack pipe thinking that's even semi worth considering. But you've got to consider it, like, if you like that car and you want a really good example, an average Equipe would probably sell for about 3.5 right now, right? That's average. Probably needed a paint job because the paint fell off the car, if you know the history of those cars. The metallic had a problem and it just fell off. So if you say how much a good paint job is, factoring in other issues along the way, strip down, rebuild, that's actually good value. If that's like the best that one could get.
Well,
Car and Classic, naughty temptresses.
I have one final thing which has rendered me quivering with delight.
Oh, gosh.
It's almost perfect. And it means that, I mean, if we could, as a podcast, we should buy this Allegro. The TO area identifier on a plate of this age means that the car...
Don't say Nottingham.
Basically in Nottingham.
Oh, God.
It's too good.
It's basically a
It's
Nottingham
too good.
car.
It's basically a Nottingham car.
And it's and we have to collect
That's some
it
good
in
advice for you to
Somerset.
take away if you want to.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. I really want this now. I was about to say, if I was going to have any Allegro, it would have to be an Equipe. And what are the frigging chances that there's one for sale? Shitting
Well-
heck. I mean, if I wanted my wife to leave me, this would be the
That's
hell of a
the
way to do
yeah.
it.
Why did
I don't.
why did she go, Richard? Well, it all came down to the Equipe, really.
Have a look at my stripy Allegro. It looks... I mean...
Honestly,
they're
that's
not sort of...
it's got sex ban written all over it. That car,
It,
but yet we're still tempted.
yeah, that's spare room, extended stay in the spare room all over it.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, you know, I think she's just about forgiven me for the Panda, but
But
this
now
might
you're
be pushing it.
wading
Bloody
in. You're
hell.
windmilling 10 grand in Allegro. Oh,
I might go and do a scratch card later or something. But why do I want this car so much? I mean, fuck's sake.
find
What's
another.
wrong with me?
Find another.
Well, it is. I mean, this is a proper find another, isn't it?
Find
Goodness me.
another. And when you do, don't tell me
Yeah.
because I
I'll
don't
fight
because I
you.
won't
I'll
believe.
fight you like Vin Diesel, mumbling.
Oh yeah, you were talking about
baldness.
you were you were talking about Italian police cars with the deep V.
Yeah.
It reminded me. I wrote something down ages ago about deep V thrum bosses, and
What?
yeah, I don't know why. I was trying to do a word play that wasn't quite right, and it's deep V thrum bosses. The appreciation of the sound of a tight-angled V6, V8, V12, or maybe even the BRM V16, which has been recently rekindled, as you know. So yeah, would you be a deep V thrum boss? What about a VR6? That's a very, very narrow-angled V. That is.
Well, it's not a deep V. I suppose
It's deep,
How are you
but it's
measuring the deep?
it's down
of the V.
down towards the crotch area. There's the depth. Then the width is across the shoulders. Surely,
Yeah.
would you go wide? I
Okay,
don't
so
like.
then-
I don't like the deep. I'd go wider before depth. If I had
So
to,
you want to?
I'd go a shallow, wide V, like a Cadillac symbol.
What's the widest V? Well, actually, technically, the widest V is the Ferrari Flat 12, which is
A flat.
technically a 180 degree V. I know that's stupid, but that's how they fire. But beyond that, I don't know what 90 degree V8 or V6 if it's the.
I think a 90 is a very wide V. That is a very.
Yeah.
That's almost. That's
relaxed
almost
V.
Zeus's jumper choice, where one of the edges is falling over the shoulder, which looks really attractive on a woman, but not on a man.
Yeah, but not on a man. No, so just
Not on a sunburned
reveals
man.
a bit of back hair creeping out.
That's the
top.
thing. If I did it, people would be like, "Have you got like someone cut someone else's hair and sprinkled it on your shoulders?" No, they haven't.
Yes, we just have a haircut. Oh, there's a spider coming out of your. Oh no, it's not. It's just back.
Why are you covered
Well-
in sheep's wool? No, that's my actual shoulders and hair.
What a wonderful note on which to bring this podcast to an end. But we must and we shall as we go away to think in pure thoughts about a V-Reg Allegro with stripes up the side. Before we go, I've got 3 things to tell you. They are: 1, Johnny has a solo YouTube channel. It's called The Overstate Plates Show, in which Johnny needlessly exaggerates the dimensions of crockery for no reason whatsoever. This week he's in Preston, randomly telling strangers that he has a dinner plate the size of a football pitch. If that's not to your taste, there's always The Late Break Show. Lots of excellent videos about cars and people who love them on there. What have we got?
Oh,
coming up, Chef?
the one that you will, the new one that will have landed as you listen to this cast is a Bristol barn find. Not in the place,
that one.
but the car. Yeah, and
Tidy.
one of 10 left in the off of the world. Yeah,
So that's Allegro Equipe.
that is it. We
rarity
are
there.
talking Equipe levels. This is true. Hashtag rare, but nobody cares, isn't it? Because most cars.
Oh, I think some people care, though, don't they?
I don't know.
About Bristols?
Yeah, people care about Bristols, but do they care about Equipes apart from us and maybe two
Oh, I
other
see.
people?
Oh, very niche. Very
And Bristols
niche,
are very
yes.
niche. I think even a lot of car
true.
people don't know what a Bristol is. Really?
A Bristol 411 and an Allegro Equipe parked on some gravel outside.
Oh, gosh.
Extensive garaging outside my country manor. I think I'd be quite
that'd
happy
be
with
really
that. I mean,
nice,
I'd need some
wouldn't
other
it?
cars as well, obviously, but those would be part of
They will be the
collection
ones
if
that
I
get
had
wheeled out every
20
morning
cars.
by the groundsman, a.k.a. Vin Diesel.
Yes. Shall I oil the Equipe, sir?
You duck oil it.
before he gets his ride-on mower out. But one of those ones like you like, that's just a massive
zero
mower
steer
with a roller seat.
No, I'd go. Vin
guys.
Diesel would favour the zero steer because it keeps you on the edge. You've got to really be careful about what you're doing, because you can high side into some roses and they're prickly AF, as you know.
They are. They're known for it. They're roses.
Yeah.
The second thing we've got to tell you is live shows. There are still tickets available for our second London recording on Thursday the 8th of June at the London Concourse event.
London.
This is an early show for us. It starts at 5, but why not skive off work? If you buy a ticket for our show, you automatically get sent a code which lets you into the London Concourse for no extra charge, and you can come in from any time after 11 in the morning.
So you can spend the day looking at some exotic, lovely, sweet motor cars.
Drinking fizzy wine, and then come and see us when you're feeling a bit sunburnt and bilious. And we'll do our best to make you feel even worse. So that's on June. And then now we have a new live event coming up. It's not till July, 19th of July. We are doing a live recording at Bicester Heritage in association with the Little Car Company.
Did you say Vista Heritage?
I did not, but maybe that's something they could consider.
That would be perfect.
There's a lovely grassy airfield there.
There is.
So yes, tickets for the Bicester show are on sale today. If you're one of our patrons, you'll already know that because you've had the weekend to buy them. But that's what we're doing in the big hangar there, so that should be interesting. And the Little Car Company are going to bring along some of their wares, including that brilliant new Tamiya full-size replica that they're working on.
Yes.
That's going to be there, so if you want to have a look at that, and I advise that you do, it will be there for your delight.
There we go, people. We are coming to Bicester.
There we go. So, headlines. Bicester Heritage, 19th of July.
Talking in the hangar.
Hopefully it'll be a lovely summer's day, and we'll be in that big hangar.
There will be a bar.
There will be chairs. Don't worry, you don't have to just mill around in the hangar while we talk.
I love that. And, bar first, chairs we'll second. Be there.
Yes, get your priorities straight, Smith. And and we'll be there, and we've been milling around and chatting and signing stuff, and then doing a bit of a recording and all that. So hopefully see you at one of those, and there'll be more stuff coming up at some point. Probably not in August. We'll take August off because everyone's on holiday.
Yeah, that's true.
And the third thing I've got to tell you is, Harry Ramsden, the fish and chip magnate?
Yeah, the consistently disappointing fish and chips. No offence, Harry.
Oh, I haven't had one for years.
Rubbish.
But I think they spread themselves quite thinly, didn't they? Not literally, but they opened a lot of branches where there used to be just like one or two.
Yeah.
Anyway, Harry Ramsden, big in fish and chips, but he is also Matthew Corbett's uncle.
Really? What, from the Sooty shoe?
Matthew Corbett off of Out of Sooty. Yeah, he is Harry Ramsden's nephew.
Bloody hell.
Bit weird, isn't it? Oh, it's not weird. I mean, everyone's related to somebody, but just,
but I like that. It's fascinating. You're just coming out there with the amazing facts.
I'm having to work harder now to try and get things that you're
running dry.
Won't know.
Well, I think
there's always more.
All that's left to say is, if the weather's good, remember to take sun cream, and if you're going to go out for a little picnic or something, don't you dare park in the right place. Face the wall. Or the generic trees. Put your pitch up there and just stare at a place which you could have probably got in your own back garden without having to get in a car and travel anywhere. That's my best piece of advice there.
Wise words for a bank holiday Monday.
Yes.
And on that note, we'll wrap this up. Thank you ever so much for listening. We'll do it all again next week. Until then, goodbye.
Bye then.
You know just what to do. Like and subscribe and review. You know just what to do. Like and subscribe and review. You know just what to do. Like and subscribe and
I actually forgot it was a bank holiday.
In a paddling pool, 9-pack of Stella.
Oh, gosh.
Lie there all day until you are red and crispy.
Point at the kids. Tell them to stop mucking around.
Leave that alone. The kids in the paddling pool. Piss off. It's too hot. I'm in the paddling pool.
Leave me alone. Leave that alone.